My name is Richard Gladdle and I'm a consultant here at Baldwin's. And this morning I'm going to talk to you about valuing coins, what makes a coin valuable, and the sort of things that we get in to value for auction or actually to make an offer on. So first of all, what makes a coin valuable? Essentially, there are three things. The first is rarity, the second is condition, and the third is where the coin comes from. Rarity, well, that's fairly obvious. If a coin is very common, it's a question of supply and demand, you can get hold of it easy. For instance, a Churchill crown. There were over 20 million of those made, so therefore the value today is 25 pence, which is what its value was when it's issued. There are so many of them, people can get them easily, so there's no premium because they have any form of rarity. A coin that's unique, for instance, you're going to have everybody wanting to get it, so the unique coin will possibly get one of the highest values. So that's rarity. Second is condition. Collectors like to buy a coin in the best condition they can afford. The chances of a coin existing in mint condition when it's 2,000 years old is very, very remote. It's rare. So therefore, a coin in very good condition from many years ago you're very unlikely to find it, because most coins went into circulation, they chinked against each other in a pocket or in a purse, and if they were silver or gold, which are quite soft metals, they soon wore down, and after 30, 40, 50 years, all you've got left is a silhouette of the monarch and a brief outline of the coat of arms or whatever is on the other side. The third, and this is probably the most important, is where the coin comes from. The most popular coins obviously are American coins, European coins, and especially ancient coins, because the Roman and Greek world is collected not just in Greece or in Italy, but also America. The rest of the numismatic history tend to be collected by those countries. Again, Americans are very good because most Americans, besides being American, tend to be British, Italian, Irish, German, or whatever. So they tend to collect the coins not only of America, but also of the countries that their forefathers came from. So this is a classic collection, sort of idea of what we get in. Just boxes and boxes, Churchill crowns. These are halfpennies put aside from decimalisation, absolutely piles of them. Now, something like that, I'm afraid, worth virtually nothing at all. They're really only worth their copper value. The copper value's gone up a bit in the last few years, but even so, they're not particularly valuable. Other sorts of collections we get, sort of mid-range stuff. Here's a good example of a tray of copper coins. Now, these got some value. These Victorian pennies are worth 30 or 40 pounds each. The pennies at the bottom worth a bit more. There's a George III halfpenny here, which is probably, well, it's a very nice condition, probably worth 200-300 pounds. This is sometimes a bit difficult because they're not valuable enough for single lots, so therefore they're not worth putting at auction because they'll just go in a bulk lot. It's probably better to sell them individually, and we'll work out what a value is of them and make an offer accordingly. These sort of coins, not that popular, but still, yeah, they do have some value. Again, here's a very similar collection of Roman Antoniani. They're Roman, they're 3rd century AD, but even so, in average condition, they're not worth a great deal. They're worth about 15 to 25 pounds each. So again, something like that, not really worth putting in auction because they'll be put in a multiple lot. Possibly better to sell those as a lot privately to us or to anybody else. But you won't get an enormous amount for them because, well, they won't sell for an enormous amount, so it's as simple as that. The upper class of coins tend to be older coins in nice condition and rare. And it's at this point that that condition comes into its own. I've got two guinea pieces of George II, 1739. The one is in very fine condition, and we're asking £3,750 for it. But the other one is good, extremely fine condition, and that will sell for about £10,000. So you see the difference. Same coin, not much difference. You can see all the details in it, but because one is mint condition, the other one's seen some circulation, the mint condition one commands a much higher value. And that's what people want. They want the best condition they can get. Something else that makes a coin interesting is the story behind it too. And that, to a certain extent, perhaps should be a fourth reason to make a coin valuable. This is an ancient Greek coin from an area called Aeolis, which today is in western Turkey, 150 BC. It was a Greek coin colonized by the Aeolians, and they believed that they came from the Amazons. And the Amazons were thought to be a tribe of women who had their men look after their children, and the women did all the fighting. And they were very successful. They were renowned for being good fighters. They even cut off their left breast so that they could draw the bow back. It didn't interfere with their fighting. So basically, the women did all the fighting, and the men looked after the children, did the cooking. So this is a very interesting coin as far as women's rights are concerned today. So this has got an interesting story. It's got a lovely portrait of an Amazon. Her name was Kaimi, and she was a general in the Amazonian army, or the Amazon army, I should say, Amazonians in South America. And absolutely beautiful portrait. Now this, relatively common coin as antique coins go, as ancient coins go, but absolutely beautiful condition. Beautiful condition. And a marvellously engraved portrait of this Amazon woman, Kaimi, who was meant to be one of the founders of Aeolis, which is now in western Turkey. Something like that, not that rare, but beautiful. That's probably worth about £3,000 in that condition because it's uncirculated. If you got one that had seen some circulation, it's probably only worth about £300, £400, £500. So again, you can see the enormous amount of difference condition makes, and this is a popular coin because here on an ancient Greek coin that was struck 150 years before Christ, you have the portrait of an Amazon general. So that's another thing that makes a coin valuable. An interesting story behind it. This is another coins whose value has probably increased because of its popularity. This is one of the first sovereigns ever made for George III, and it's got his portrait on one side, and on the other side it's got the famous St. George and the Dragon, which was done by an Italian engraver called Pastrucci, and we still put the George and the Dragon on our sovereigns today. The design on this was first done in 1817. This one's actually done a couple of years later, but 1817, we've used this design on our sovereigns ever since. Pastrucci's George and the Dragon. So something like that is quite interesting. So that adds to the coin. And again, this is a British coin, so therefore popular. Lots of people with disposable income can collect it. And it's also in excellent condition. So something like this is probably worth about £7,000 in condition, whereas if you've got one in very fine condition, probably worth £1,800, £2,000. If one's really bad condition, it's probably worth about £600 or £700. The gold value in this is today is probably about £375 worth of gold. So you can see that the gold value of this coin is quite a small proportion of what its collector's value is worth, £7,000, £8,000. So as I say, this is when a collection is brought into us, this is what we look at. The values of coins tend to be defined by what they fetch in auction. So it's by precedent. So you can say that this coin in this condition has fetched £10,000 in this auction, so therefore this coin I've got, which is in the same condition, should be worth £10,000, and generally is. Sometimes a bit less, and sometimes a bit more if you tend to have 2 or 3 collectors that really want one. But that's how the values are defined. They're defined through precedent, what they fetch in auction. Just one more little thing to show you. Sometimes a thing has a great value because it is very pretty. So here is a little coronation medallion struck in gold for Queen Caroline, who was the wife of George II. throughout the Georges and up to the present day. They struck coronation medals to celebrate the coronation of the king. And this one, there were two made for George II, one with himself on and one with his wife Caroline. And this is in the original box. It's mint condition. It's very pretty, and it's a nice little thing. The box is made of shark skin, chagrin, and it's just a very pretty item. So something like that has a value not just because it's popularity and its rarity, its condition, but also it's a beautiful little item. So people appreciate it, and it has value because of that. So as I say, there's a number of things that make a coin valuable, but essentially it's rarity, condition, and where the coin comes from. And so that is employed in all our decision making when we look at coins, and it's slightly affected by how pretty it is and whether there's a good story, and this will change the value slightly in one direction or another. If any of you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. Go onto our website, which is baldwins.co.